Welcome to Science to Get High By. I'm Kat Jones. Let's get a little freaky today. I spent the winter of 23 trying to restore my faith in the universe by watching a little black bean decomposing in a petri dish. Don't judge me, man. I have my reasons. When you're in the mood for it, you can learn a lot from watching something rot. Come. Gaze with me into the void. All these millions and millions and millions of little beings, all this life, none of this was here until this little bean began to decompose. After a few days, the structure of the bean began to break down and it became less recognizable. This flush began to appear all around it of these unspooling fractals coming out in all directions. Next came the clouds and clouds and clouds of bacteria. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, all these larger organisms, protists, began to appear. They showed up in a great flush rolling around with the bacteria. And they stayed for about a week. All of this is the process of decomposition. It's the disassembly and reassembly of life. The transformation of the energy of life from one form into others. Slowly, as the bacteria and fungus became more prevalent, the protists began diminishing, disappearing into eggs and cysts and disassembled bits. All the protists are gone right now. They've come and gone in several flushes of different species, but they've left information behind so that when the energy in the dish is right again, they can be reconstituted. Watching this, it suddenly dawns on me that all of life is energy, and there's a certain amount of it in this petri dish, all emanating from this one little bean. As one set of organisms takes off and grows like wild, it requires a lot of the available energy so that another set of organisms diminishes because there's only so much energy in that dish. So the energy manifests as one group of organisms, then another, but it's all one thing. It's all emanating from the energy that was this little bean. I mean, yeah, of course, there had to have been genetic information in there to have carried the instructions to build all these different life forms. There must have been the odd bacteria, fungus, or whatever, either on or inside the bean. But the point is, that was all such a non-entity in this dish as to have been completely invisible, even with the microscope, when I started this project. And now look. All the energy to grow and support all this life came from this one little bean. I'm not even keeping this on a sunny windowsill, so it's not like it's getting solar energy in there. It's all that bean unwinding. All of these organisms are made out of energy. And here's this little black bean at the center of it all, being disassembled back into the void. But it's not gone. Look at all these little forms that sprung from the energy that was locked up in the matter of that little bean. All of these bacteria, they are the bean, and they aren't. Everything in this little dish is all manifesting, transforming, and remanifesting from the same pool of energy. It's all one thing. This is what that infamous bell curve in ecology is all about, right? The boom and bust cycles. It's a matter of a limited amount of energy in a given system, manifesting in one form, then another, until some kind of balance can be found. The second law of thermodynamics. At this point, this bell curve looks a lot more like a section of a sine wave than a Gaussian function, because it doesn't just start and stop. It comes in waves. And what is a sine wave but a function of a circle? A circle. An Ouroboros. Is life actually a circle? As in, does it continue forever? Does it constantly reset itself so inputs always feed outputs? Does it continue to manifest and transform and manifest and transform again and again and again in different forms forever? Or is it more like a wave radiating outward through time and space into smaller and smaller forms, fewer and fewer of them, until it can no longer access useful energy to sustain itself? I mean, that's the more depressing aspect of the second law of thermodynamics, right? That energy becomes less useful, whatever the fuck that means. I still don't know what the fuck that means. What is energy? What are we but energy? And I don't know. Science doesn't know. There's no good answer. If you look up what is energy, you will come upon the most dissatisfactory so-called answer from physicists. It goes like this. Energy, the ability to do work. What the fuck is that? That's like defining my hand in terms of it's a thing that gets food to my mouth, you know? I mean, what the fuck is that? Energy is matter, it's motion, it's life itself. It's everything we are. And we don't know a thing about it. Think about that. And what is the source of all that energy? All I know is that there had been a little black bean, and then there wasn't. For a while there was nothing but a carcass in there. And then came all this life. A whole flush of new life. And here it is. Here it is. You can follow the flow of energy through the flushes of bacteria, through the gradients of matter, through the fractal fingers of hyphae, right back to the bean. That seems to be how energy moves through a system, right? It forms these webs of relationships, these fractals that seem to disperse over distances. Not just here in the petri dish, but everywhere. This is a huge question of biology that I wonder about. Does life increase or decrease entropy overall? Does it obey our current understanding of the second law? Or is there something going on here with the complexity of life that we just don't know about yet? What would either of those things mean? Again, is life a circle? Or does life itself have a lifespan? This is a real question that I think gets at one of our most fundamental sets of desire and fear. You know, everything wants to exist. Everything wants to continue to exist. Do we? In some form? Forever? I want to think that life is a circle because that would be beautiful. Looking back into this petri dish again, I'm thinking about all this life, the associated matter and energy all manifesting out of that one little bean. Even if everything in this dish starved or went dormant in there, the second you open that system up to the rest of the world, energy would begin flowing through it again, and life returns. Everything dormant awakens. Any seeds, any spores, any eggs are going to burst back into life again. And anything that doesn't is going to get composted. All that matter is going to start getting digested by other organisms and converted right back into the energy of life itself again. Here it all is, in a microcosm, literally in a microcosm. What is the ultimate source? I mean, is there one? Is there one source for all of life? It feels like we're all one thing. One thing that just gets roiled around and recombined, transformed and transformed through all these different forms. Is there an ultimate source? At the beginning of this video, I said that none of this was here until this bean began to decompose. It was, though. It was just in a different form. Everything you're looking at right here was all contained in that little bean. All of this was here all along, right from the very beginning. Maybe that's true of everything. Maybe we've all been here all along, transforming and transforming and transforming.